Well, good evening, viewers. Today we have a frozen truck, 2014 Silverado. Was here a few weeks ago for a bunch of problems, but it's a crank no start condition. I think it's got a fuel pump problem. He had had some issues with the, let's go into the fuel pump driver. Let's see, we got fuel pressure. I put propane in the intake and it fires. Where's the fuel pump driver? Oh, this is a 4.3. Maybe it doesn't have a fuel pump driver. Let's check the codes. It's freaking cold out here. Fuel pump control symptom circuit. Fuel pressure sensor performance. Evap vent solenoid. Generator L terminal. Fuel pump flow performance. Lost communication with transmission. Electronic brake. Body. Fuel pump driver module. So I don't know if this will run the fuel pump. Fuel rail pressure, fuel pump enable. Must be off with engine on. Well, I wouldn't be doing this if I could start it. Fuel tank 25%. It's got gas in it according to the fuel gauge. I hear the pump running. I hear the pump running in the tank, but I gotta see if I can find a fuel pressure PID. Well, I found the fuel rail pressure sensor, or not rail pressure, but the low pressure fuel pressure. It's not out of range. It's 0.73 volts. Doesn't have desired. Water pipe. So I think the low pressure fuel pump has failed. I wish I could get this thing to start. So I got a OTC injector flusher connected with 58 pounds of fuel pressure connected to the fuel rail. Shop air line connected to it. Let's see if we can get this thing to start. I disabled the fuel pump, by the way. Let's see if we can get it in the shop now. Well, the only thing that would make this setup a little bit better is if I had an air tank. So I have a small air tank for filling tires and make this thing portable. You'll be able to drive it for a while. Somebody should make something like this. Temporarily install pressurized tank of gas. Of course, liability might be a problem. Well, we got it in the shop. I had to boost it to start it because they had left the key on and the battery was flat. So I'm going to put it on trickle charger for tonight and talk it over with the customer. This thing needs a fuel pump. So I've got a clean battery charger on this thing and I'm doing a network scan now that it's in the shop. So we got a fuel pressure sensor performance, fuel pump control circuit failure, evap vent solenoid, control circuit, generator L terminal, fuel pump flow performance, and a lost communication with the transmission control module. Now the battery was dead when it got towed in here on the service truck. They had left the key in the run position, so the parking lights were on and the battery was flat. So a number of these could be caused by low battery voltage. Lost communication with EBCM, the electronic brake control, lost communication with body control, lost communication with fuel pump driver. Now that one does bother me because we could have a failed fuel pump driver. I just had one a few days ago. control module voltage below limit, battery voltage below limit, keyless entry data link circuit, driver window calibration, passenger compartment. Now he had talked to me earlier in the week about it setting a transmission code related to torque converter clutch, but I can't see that code. But now mind you, the battery went dead, so the codes would have all cleared. I've got the fuse for the fuel pump driver module pulled right now, so the fuel pump didn't run when I was running it in here. Lots of low voltage codes. Yeah, lots of low voltage codes. So we're going to clear all these codes out. And I'm going to put the fuel line back on and do some tests on the fuel pump at the fuel pump driver. But I got a funny feeling it's cheap quality fuel pump that was put in a few weeks ago. It's probably failed. I could hear it running when it was outside, but it wasn't making any pressure whatsoever. You know, we should theoretically have a code for loss of communication with the fuel pump driver, because I've got that fuse pulled. Yes, so that's because of the fuse being out, and I don't want to put it back in until I reconnect the fuel line, or block it off, one or the other. So I just got off the phone with the owner, and he informed me that the fuel pump was replaced because it leaked less than a week ago, and it was surging before it actually quit. So we're starting to wonder if it's actually out of fuel. The gauge was showing 25%. I had looked at that already, but it could be that the sending unit, which is part of the fuel pump assembly, is indicating a false level of fuel in the tank. So I thought of crawling underneath the truck and looking at the side of the tank with a thermal camera, but there's a stupid shield that covers everything, so I can't see it. So I've put the fuel line back on. I've reinstalled this 30 amp fuse here is for the fuel pump driver. And I'm going to put a couple of gallons of gasoline in the tank and see if it'll start. So I've poured a couple of gallons of gasoline in the tank. I'm going to clear the codes. Make sure that fuel pump driver code is gone. It is. Now we're going to try to functionally command the fuel pump on. I haven't tried to start it yet. Fuel pump enable. Key is on, engine's not running, line is connected. No, I don't see fuel tank pressure, fuel pressure, 10 psi. We didn't have that before. Let's command the pump on. Oh, look at that. I'll bet you it runs. So let's see if it'll start. So it's showing just under a quarter of a tank now, so I'm pretty sure it was out of gas and that fuel gauge is reading incorrectly. So I'm going to let them take it back to the people that did the first pump and let them deal with it under warranty. I'm going to try a purge and seal test while it's running here, because this had an evap vent solenoid code, and see if the system is working here. Purge solenoid, fuel tank pressure. Okay, it's going down to a negative pressure. Wait till it gets to about 7 or 8 inches of water and then click seal. It's taking a long time because there's not much gas in it. So it's sealed now. holding vacuum. So that vent solenoid code may have been set by the technician that did the repairs on the gas tank. He may have had the vent solenoid unplugged, I'm not sure. We're going to clear all the codes out of all the computers and give this thing back to the customer. Thanks for watching.